Have you ever wondered why someone can share a bed with you, but still leave you feeling completely alone? Why some people chase intimacy but run from real connection? Here's the truth. Physical attraction is easy. Commitment is rare. Anyone can desire your body for a night, but only someone who truly loves you will invest in your heart, protect your peace, and stay when life gets difficult. Today we're going to uncover the 6 powerful signs that separate temporary attraction from genuine love. And by the end of this speech, you'll never confuse chemistry with commitment again. Most people have been taught to believe that attraction is the foundation of a relationship. They think if the chemistry is strong enough, if the passion is intense enough, everything else will naturally fall into place. But life has a way of teaching a very different lesson. Attraction can bring 2 people together, but it cannot keep them together. Passion can ignite a fire, but it cannot sustain warmth through the storms of life. The first thing a person who truly loves you gives you isn't physical closeness, it's emotional safety. And that changes everything. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever been around someone who made you feel like you had to measure every word? Someone who made you question whether your emotions were too much, your dreams too big, or your fears too inconvenient? That's not safety. That's survival. When you're constantly worried about being judged, rejected, or misunderstood, you're not building a relationship. You're building walls. And the tragedy is that many people spend years inside those walls, believing that's what love is supposed to feel like. Real love doesn't make you shrink. It gives you permission to expand. It creates an environment where you don't have to pretend to be stronger than you are. You don't have to hide your struggles. You don't have to wear a mask just to be accepted. The person who truly loves you isn't looking for perfection. They're looking for authenticity. They want to know the real you, the dreams you haven't shared with anyone, the fears that keep you awake at night, the parts of your story you've been afraid to tell. Because love doesn't grow through pretending. It grows through truth. Here's something powerful to remember. People open their hearts only when they feel safe. Think about your own life. Who do you tell your deepest fears to? Is it someone who criticizes every mistake you make? Is it someone who uses your weaknesses against you? Of course not. You trust the people who make you feel accepted. You trust the people who listen before they judge. That's the environment where love flourishes. Too many relationships are built on performance. One person is constantly trying to impress the other. They're trying to say the right thing, wear the right clothes, hide their insecurities, and appear perfect. But eventually the performance becomes exhausting. Nobody can act forever. Eventually the real person appears. The question is, what happens then? If the relationship was built only on attraction, it often begins to fall apart. But if it was built on emotional safety, honesty only makes the bond stronger. Love isn't about finding someone who never sees your flaws. It's about finding someone who sees them and still chooses to stand beside you. That's an entirely different level of connection. It's easy to love someone's highlights. It's much harder to love them through uncertainty, disappointment, and vulnerability. Yet that's exactly where genuine love begins. One of the greatest gifts you can ever receive is the feeling that someone truly hears you. Not just your words, but your emotions. They don't rush to fix every problem. They don't interrupt your story. They don't minimize your pain by saying you'll get over it. Instead, they listen. They understand. They let you feel what you grew without making you feel guilty for having emotions in the first place. That kind of presence is rare. In today's world, everyone wants to talk, but very few people truly listen. Everyone wants to be understood, but few are willing to understand someone else. A person who genuinely loves you pays attention. They notice when your smile isn't real. They hear the silence behind your words. They recognize the difference between "I'm okay" and "I don't know how to ask for help." That's emotional connection, and it's infinitely more valuable than temporary excitement. Remember this. Your nervous system knows the difference between love and anxiety. If you're constantly wondering where you stand, if you're always afraid they'll leave, if every disagreement feels like the relationship might end, your body is telling you something. Real love doesn't eliminate every challenge, but it removes the fear of being abandoned every time life gets difficult. You know you're valued. You know you're respected. You know that problems will be faced together instead of alone. This doesn't mean a loving relationship is free of conflict. Every meaningful relationship has disagreements. 2 different people will naturally see the world differently. The difference is how those disagreements are handled. Someone who truly loves you doesn't try to win every argument. They try to protect the relationship. They care more about understanding than being right. They don't attack your character because they're frustrated with your behavior. They separate the problem from the person. That's maturity. That's respect. And that's love in action. Think about the strongest buildings in the world. They don't remain standing because they're beautiful. They remain standing because they have a solid foundation. Relationships work the same way. Emotional safety is the foundation. Without it, every misunderstanding becomes a crisis. Every mistake becomes a threat. Every difficult conversation becomes a battle. But when emotional safety exists, challenges become opportunities to grow closer instead of further apart. Never confuse intensity with intimacy. Some relationships are filled with dramatic highs and devastating lows. They mistake emotional chaos for passion. But real intimacy is peaceful. It doesn't mean boring. It means secure. It means knowing that even when life becomes difficult, you don't have to earn love every single day by proving your worth. You are valued because of who you are, not because of what you can provide. So if you want to know whether someone truly loves you, don't start by asking how strongly they desire you. Ask yourself a more important question. Do they make you feel safe enough to be completely yourself? Can you share your fears without being mocked? Can you admit your mistakes without being shamed? Can you dream out loud without being discouraged? Can you be silent without feeling ignored? Because when someone gives you that kind of emotional safety, they're offering something far more valuable than temporary attraction. They're giving you a place where your heart can finally rest. And that is where real love begins. One of the biggest mistakes people make is confusing intensity with commitment. They mistake a flood of emotions for a solid foundation. They believe that because someone texts all day, showers them with compliments, or can't seem to keep their hands off them, it must be love. But emotions are powerful, and they are also temporary. Passion can arrive in an instant. Real love is revealed over time. The difference isn't found in what someone does for a weekend. It's found in what they continue doing month after month, year after year, when the excitement of something new has faded. Anyone can be amazing in the beginning. The beginning requires very little sacrifice. It's exciting. It's unpredictable. It's filled with anticipation. People naturally put their best foot forward because they're trying to impress each other. They plan the perfect dates, send thoughtful messages, and make grand promises about the future. But eventually life begins to replace fantasy. Responsibilities appear. Stress increases. Work becomes demanding. Family obligations grow. Unexpected challenges arrive. This is the moment when true character begins to reveal itself. Consistency is the language of genuine love. It says, you don't have to wonder where you stand with me because my actions will answer that question every single day. There is incredible peace in knowing that someone will show up, not only when it's convenient, but especially when it isn't. That's the kind of reliability that creates trust, and trust is the heartbeat of every lasting relationship. Think about the sun. It rises every morning without asking for applause. It doesn't appear only when people notice it. It simply does what it was created to do. Consistency works the same way. It isn't dramatic, and it isn't loud. In fact, many people overlook it because they're waiting for fireworks. But the strongest relationships aren't built on fireworks. They're built on dependable habits repeated over time. A good morning message that never fails to arrive. A promise that is always kept. A conversation after a disagreement instead of silent withdrawal. Small actions repeated consistently become the strongest evidence of love. People often chase excitement because excitement feels alive. But excitement alone cannot sustain a relationship. Imagine building a house with beautiful decorations but no strong walls. It might look impressive at first glance, but the first storm will expose every weakness. Relationships are no different. Beautiful words without consistent behavior are decorations without structure. They may impress people for a while, but eventually reality demands something stronger. One of the greatest gifts someone can offer you is emotional reliability. It means you don't have to constantly guess what version of them you're going to meet today. They don't love you deeply one week and become emotionally unavailable the next without explanation. They don't disappear whenever life becomes uncomfortable. They don't make you earn their affection through confusion or uncertainty. Instead, they become a steady presence in your life. That consistency creates security, and security allows love to grow without fear. This doesn't mean people are perfect. Everyone has difficult days. Everyone gets tired, stressed, or overwhelmed. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about commitment. It's about choosing the relationship even when emotions fluctuate. Feelings naturally rise and fall. Commitment is the decision to continue investing even when the emotional high isn't there. That's what separates temporary attraction from lasting love. There is a dangerous belief that love should always feel exciting. The problem with chasing constant excitement is that it makes ordinary moments seem disappointing. But life is made of ordinary moments. It's made of grocery shopping together, solving problems, paying bills, supporting each other through sickness, celebrating small victories, and sitting together in comfortable silence. If someone only values the thrilling moments, they'll eventually become bored when real life arrives. But someone who truly loves you discovers meaning even in the ordinary because they understand that love isn't built during extraordinary occasions. It's built through everyday choices. Watch people's patterns instead of their promises. Anyone can make a promise when emotions are high. Anyone can say, "I'll always be here." But words are easy because they cost nothing in the moment. Patterns require discipline. Patterns require integrity. Patterns reveal priorities. If someone consistently makes time for you, consistently communicates honestly, consistently respects your boundaries, and consistently treats you with kindness, you no longer have to wonder what they feel. Their actions speak louder than any declaration ever could. Life has a remarkable way of testing consistency. There will be moments when success arrives. There will also be moments of disappointment. There will be seasons of health and seasons of struggle. Careers change. Families grow. Unexpected hardships appear without warning. During these moments, consistency becomes priceless. The person who truly loves you doesn't become distant because life became inconvenient. They adjust. They adapt. They remain present. That doesn't mean they always have the perfect solution. Sometimes their greatest gift is simply refusing to leave. Many people chase relationships that feel like emotional roller coasters because their gift known mistaken unpredictability for passion. They believe the constant highs and lows mean the connection is stronger. In reality, emotional instability often creates addiction rather than love. The uncertainty keeps people chasing validation, hoping the next high will finally provide lasting happiness. But healthy love doesn't leave you emotionally exhausted. It brings stability. It allows your heart to rest because you know where you stand. Respect grows through consistency. Trust grows through consistency. Intimacy grows through consistency. Every meaningful relationship is like a bank account. Every honest conversation, every kept promise, every act of kindness is another deposit. Over time, those deposits create something incredibly valuable. Then, when conflict inevitably appears, the relationship has enough trust to withstand the pressure. Without those consistent investments, even small disagreements can create enormous damage. Never underestimate the power of ordinary faithfulness. Grand romantic gestures are wonderful, but they cannot replace daily commitment. Flowers eventually fade. Expensive gifts lose their novelty. Beautiful speeches are forgotten if they're never supported by action. But consistent love leaves a lasting imprint on the heart because it communicates something. Words alone never can. You matter to me every day, not just when it's exciting. So when you're trying to recognize genuine love, don't become distracted by intensity alone. Don't be hypnotized by powerful emotions that appear overnight. Instead, pay attention to the person who keeps showing up, the one who calls when they said they would, the one who listens when you're struggling, the one who remains kind when life becomes stressful, the one who chooses honesty over convenience and commitment over comfort. Because anyone can create a spark, but only someone who truly loves you will keep the fire burning through consistency, patience, and unwavering action. In the end, love is never proven by how intensely it begins. It is proven by how faithfully it continues. One of the clearest signs that someone truly loves you is that they don't just enjoy who you are today. They believe in who you can become tomorrow. There is a tremendous difference between someone who wants to possess you and someone who wants to empower you. Possession says, stay the way you are because your growth threatens me. Love says, become everything you were created to be, and I'll be cheering for you every step of the way. That difference changes the entire direction of a relationship. Too many people enter relationships believing that love means finding someone who completes them. But healthy love isn't about completion. It's about contribution. Two whole people come together and make each other stronger. They don't compete against each other. They grow together. They don't fear each other's success. They celebrate it. They don't hold each other back because of insecurity. They push each other forward because they genuinely want the other person to thrive. Think about a gardener. A gardener doesn't pull on a plant to make it grow faster. They create the right environment. They provide water, sunlight, rich soil, and protection. Growth happens naturally when the conditions are healthy. Relationships work the same way. Someone who truly loves you creates an environment where your confidence can grow, your dreams can expand, and your potential can flourish. They don't constantly criticize every mistake. They don't remind you of your failures every chance they get. Instead, they encourage you to keep becoming the person you were meant to be. This doesn't mean they never challenge you. In fact, real love often challenges you more than anyone else. But there's a difference between criticism and constructive encouragement. Criticism tears people down. Encouragement builds them up. A loving partner doesn't challenge you to make you feel small. They challenge you because they can see a stronger version of you waiting to emerge. They believe you're capable of more than you're currently settling for. How many incredible dreams have died because someone listened to the wrong voice? Someone wanted to start a business, but they were told it would never work. Someone dreamed of writing a book, changing careers, or returning to school, but the people closest to them filled their minds with doubt instead of belief. Words are powerful. They can become fuel for greatness or chains that keep someone trapped in fear. That's why the people you allow closest to your heart matter so much. The voice you hear every day eventually becomes the voice inside your own mind. A person who truly loves you speaks life into your future. They remind you of your strengths when you've become focused on your weaknesses. They celebrate your victories no matter how small. They don't become jealous when good things happen to you. They become genuinely happy because your success never threatens their identity. They understand that your victory isn't their loss. In healthy love, one person's growth becomes something both people celebrate. Unfortunately, not every relationship operates this way. Some people feel uncomfortable whenever their partner begins to grow. They become insecure when confidence increases. They feel threatened when new opportunities appear. Instead of supporting progress, they create obstacles. They discourage new goals. They make sarcastic comments. They minimize accomplishments. They subtly communicate, "Don't become too successful because I might lose control." That's not love. That's fear disguised as attachment. Real love never asks you to shrink so someone else can feel bigger. It never demands that you abandon your purpose to protect another person's insecurity. Love inspires freedom, not limitation. It says, "I want you to become the fullest version of yourself because I know our relationship will become stronger when both of us continue growing." Growth also requires accountability. Someone who genuinely loves you won't simply tell you what you want to hear all the time. Sometimes they lovingly tell you what you need to hear. They point out habits that are holding you back. They encourage you to face difficult truths instead of avoiding them. They don't enable destructive behavior because they care more about your long-term happiness than your temporary comfort. That kind of honesty requires courage. It's much easier to stay silent than to risk an uncomfortable conversation. But love chooses truth because truth creates transformation. Imagine trying to climb a mountain with someone beside you. Every difficult step feels lighter because someone believes you can make it. When you become exhausted, they remind you why you started. When you doubt yourself, they remind you how far you've already come. They don't carry you forever because they know you're capable of walking on your own. Instead, they strengthen your belief in yourself until you realize you can accomplish far more so than you ever imagined. The greatest relationships are partnerships built around growth. Both people continue learning. Both people continue improving. Both people continue becoming wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. They understand that if one person stops growing, eventually the relationship begins to stagnate. Growth keeps love alive because every season reveals new opportunities to know each other more deeply. Success isn't only measured by money or career achievements. Growth happens emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and personally. A loving partner celebrates when you become more patient. They notice when you've become more confident. They appreciate your emotional maturity. They recognize the effort you're making to become healthier, kinder, and more resilient. These victories often matter more than external success because they shape the person you're becoming. Never underestimate the impact of someone who believes in you before you fully believe in yourself. History is filled with remarkable people who achieved extraordinary things because one person refused to stop believing in them. Sometimes confidence is borrowed before it becomes your own. A loving relationship provides that kind of belief. It reminds you that failure is not your identity. Mistakes are not your destiny. Your current circumstances do not define your future. The beautiful truth is that love doesn't merely accept your potential, it helps awaken it. It becomes a mirror reflecting back the strength you've forgotten you possess. It challenges the excuses that keep you comfortable while encouraging the courage that leads mission to transformation. It doesn't allow fear to become the author of your future. So if you're wondering whether someone truly loves you, ask yourself this. Do they encourage you to become a better person? Do they celebrate your progress instead of competing with it? Do they support your dreams instead of dismissing them? Do they speak hope into your future when you're struggling to see it yourself? Because someone who genuinely loves you will never be satisfied watching you remain stuck. They will inspire you to keep growing, keep learning, keep believing, and keep becoming the extraordinary person you were always capable of being. That is the kind of love that doesn't just change a relationship, it changes a life. It is easy to stand beside someone when everything is going well. It's easy to smile when life is filled with success, laughter, and excitement. Almost anyone can enjoy the good times. Almost anyone can celebrate victories, share unforgettable moments, and make promises when the future looks bright. But life has a way of testing every relationship. Storms come without invitation. Plans fall apart. Hearts break. Careers change. Health declines. Financial struggles appear. Unexpected losses shake everything you thought was certain. And in those moments, something remarkable happens. Masks fall away, excuses disappear, and true character is revealed. The greatest test of love has never been how someone treats you when life is easy. It has always been how they treat you when life becomes difficult. Anyone can stay when they're receiving everything they want. The real question is, who stays when loving you requires patience, sacrifice, and strength? That is where temporary attraction separates from genuine commitment. Temporary attraction asks, what am I getting from this relationship? Real love asks, how can we get through this together? Those are two completely different mindsets, and they produce completely different outcomes. Think about a tree during a storm. You don't know how deep its roots are by looking at it on a calm, sunny day. It looks strong because nothing is challenging it. But when powerful winds arrive, the truth is revealed. Trees with shallow roots collapse. Trees with deep roots bend, endure, and remain standing. Relationships are exactly the same. Easy seasons never reveal the depth of commitment. Difficult seasons do. There will be moments when your partner isn't at their best. There will be days when stress overwhelms them, when fear clouds their thinking, or when disappointment steals their confidence. In those moments, someone who truly loves you doesn't immediately start looking for the exit. They understand that difficult seasons are part of being human. They don't expect perfection because they know perfection doesn't exist. Instead, they offer patience. They offer understanding. They become a source of stability when everything else feels uncertain. That doesn't mean love accepts abuse, disrespect, or harmful behavior. Healthy love always includes boundaries, accountability, and mutual respect. Standing by someone through hardship is very different from enabling destructive actions. Genuine commitment means facing life's challenges together while continuing to treat one another with dignity and care. It is not about tolerating harm. It is about refusing to abandon each other simply because life has become difficult. One of the greatest misconceptions about love is that it should always feel effortless. Movies often portray relationships as if true love eliminates struggle. Real life tells a different story. Every meaningful relationship requires effort. Every lasting relationship requires forgiveness. Every strong relationship requires two people who are willing to keep choosing each other even. When circumstances become complicated, imagine two people rowing a boat across a lake. As long as the water is calm, almost anyone can keep moving forward. But when the wind begins to blow and the waves become rough, teamwork suddenly becomes essential. If one person stops rowing, the boat begins to drift. If both people continue working together, they may move more slowly, but they continue making progress. Relationships survive storms because both people remain committed to the journey. Difficult times have an incredible ability to expose priorities. When someone truly values you, they don't disappear the moment inconvenience appears. They make time even when they're busy. They communicate even when conversations are uncomfortable. They look for solutions instead of excuses. They understand that protecting the relationship sometimes requires sacrificing personal comfort. That willingness to stay engaged even during conflict is one of the clearest demonstrations of genuine love. Many people mistake the absence of conflict for the presence of love, but avoiding every difficult conversation doesn't strengthen a relationship, it weakens it. Problems ignored today become bigger problems tomorrow. Someone who truly loves you doesn't run from uncomfortable discussions because they care more about preserving the relationship than preserving temporary comfort. They are willing to sit down, listen, apologize when necessary, and work toward healing instead of allowing resentment to grow in silence. Adversity has a remarkable way of revealing what words never can. Promises sound beautiful, but pressure reveals whether those promises have substance. It's easy to say, "I'll always be here for you." It's much harder to prove those words when someone loses a job, faces rejection, experiences grief, or struggles with self-doubt. Love becomes visible when actions continue after emotions have become difficult. Sometimes the greatest act of love isn't solving someone's problem. Sometimes it's simply refusing to let them face it alone. There is extraordinary power in knowing that someone is standing beside you, even when they don't have all the answers. Presence often heals more deeply than perfect advice. A hand held during uncertainty, a quiet conversation after disappointment, a reassuring voice reminding you that this season will not last forever. These moments create memories that remain long after the crisis has passed. Strong relationships don't become strong because they avoid hardship. They become strong because hardship teaches two people how to trust each other more deeply. Every challenge overcome together becomes another layer in the foundation of the sub-relationship. Every obstacle successfully faced becomes evidence that the partnership is capable of surviving future storms. Confidence grows because both people have witnessed their ability to endure together. Life will never stop presenting challenges. There will always be unexpected turns, disappointments, and moments that test your courage. The question isn't whether difficulties will come. The question is who will still be standing beside you when they do. That answer tells you far more about love than any romantic gesture ever could. A person who genuinely loves you doesn't measure the relationship by how easy it is. They measure it by how valuable it is. They understand that anything meaningful requires investment. They know that walking away may sometimes feel easier than staying, but they also recognize that lasting love is built by people who choose commitment over convenience. They fight for understanding instead of surrendering to frustration. They seek healing instead of keeping score. They believe that problems are challenges to solve together, not reasons to abandon one another. When you look back on the most meaningful relationships in your life, chances are your deepest memories weren't created during perfect moments. They were created during difficult seasons when someone refused to leave, when someone believed in you after failure, when someone held your hand through uncertainty, when someone reminded you of your strength while you were struggling to find it yourself. Those are the moments that define love because they reveal something words alone never can. So if you're trying to understand whether someone truly loves you, don't focus only on how they behave when everything is going according to plan. Watch what happens when life becomes uncomfortable. Watch how they respond when challenges appear. Do they move closer or farther away? Do they become part of the solution or disappear into excuses? Because anyone can enjoy the sunshine, but only someone who genuinely loves you will stand beside you in the storm, help you rebuild when life knocks you down, and remind you that no matter how difficult today feels, you never have to face tomorrow alone. At the heart of every lasting relationship are three qualities that cannot be replaced by attraction, beauty, or even passion. Those qualities are respect, trust, and honest communication. Remove any one of them and the relationship begins to weaken. Remove all three, and no amount of chemistry can save it. You can have incredible attraction, unforgettable moments, even exciting adventures together. But if respect disappears, trust is broken, and communication shuts down, the relationship slowly becomes a place of confusion instead of peace. Many people believe love is primarily a feeling. Feelings are certainly important, but feelings change. Some days you wake up energized and deeply connected. Other days, stress, responsibilities, and exhaustion affect your emotions. If love depended only on feelings, very few relationships would survive. Lasting love depends on choices, and one of the most important choices you can make is to treat the person you love with respect, even when emotions are running high. Respect is demonstrated in the little moments that most people overlook. It is listening without interrupting. It is valuing someone's opinion even when you disagree. It is speaking with kindness instead of using words as weapons. It is protecting someone's dignity during disagreements instead of trying to embarrass or humiliate them. Anyone can be respectful when everything is going well. Real character is revealed when conflict appears. That's when respect becomes a decision instead of a convenience. Think about how easily words can leave your mouth. A sentence spoken in anger may last only a few seconds, but its impact can remain in someone's heart for years. Many relationships aren't destroyed by one catastrophic event. They're slowly weakened by repeated moments of disrespect. Sarcastic comments, dismissive attitudes, constant criticism, ignoring someone's feelings. These may seem small in isolation, but over time they create emotional distance. Love cannot flourish in an environment where one person constantly feels unseen or undervalued. Respect also means honoring boundaries. Someone who truly loves you doesn't pressure you into becoming someone you're not. They don't manipulate you into sacrificing your values just to keep the relationship. They understand that healthy love allows both people to maintain their individuality while building a life together. They appreciate your uniqueness instead of trying to control it. Real love never demands that you lose yourself to prove your commitment. Well, trust is another cornerstone that cannot be overlooked. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper on unstable ground. No matter how beautiful the building appears, it will eventually collapse because the foundation cannot support the weight. Trust is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Without it, every conversation becomes filled with suspicion. Every delay creates anxiety. Every misunderstanding turns into a crisis. But when trust is strong, both people experience something priceless: peace. Trust is not built in a single day. It grows through consistent honesty and dependable actions. Every promise that is kept becomes another brick in the foundation. Every truthful conversation strengthens confidence. Every moment of integrity tells the other person, "You can rely on me." Over time, these small moments create something incredibly powerful. They create emotional security. One of the greatest misconceptions about trust is that it only matters after someone has betrayed it. In reality, trust is being built or weakened every single day. It's built when someone follows through on what they say. It's built when they remain honest even when the truth is uncomfortable. It's built when they choose transparency instead of secrecy. Likewise, trust begins to erode whenever promises become empty, honesty becomes optional, or important conversations are avoided. Honest communication is what protects both respect and trust. Without communication, assumptions begin to replace understanding. And assumptions are dangerous because they are often based on fear instead of facts. How many relationships have suffered because two people stop talking honestly? One person assumes the other has lost interest. The other assumes everything is fine because nothing has been said. Silence creates stories that reality never intended. Someone who truly loves you doesn't expect you to read their mind. They understand that healthy relationships require honest conversations, even when those conversations feel uncomfortable. They express appreciation instead of assuming it's already understood. They apologize when they're wrong instead of allowing pride to create distance. They ask questions before making accusations. They seek clarity instead of jumping to conclusions. Communication isn't only about speaking. It's equally about listening. Many people listen just long enough to prepare their next response. Very few listen with the intention of truly understanding. Genuine listening requires humility, because it means accepting that your perspective may not be the only valid one. A loving partner creates space where both people feel heard. They don't dismiss emotions simply because they experience situations differently. They recognize that understanding someone's feelings doesn't require agreeing with every opinion. Conflict itself is not the enemy of a relationship. Every healthy relationship experiences disagreements because no two people think exactly alike. The real danger is how conflict is handled. Some people approach every disagreement like a competition they must win. They focus on proving they're right instead of protecting the relationship. But someone who truly loves you understands that there are no winners when the relationship loses. They value connection more than their ego. Humility plays an essential role in honest communication. It takes humility to admit, "I was wrong." It takes strength to say, "I'm sorry." It takes maturity to ask, "Help me understand how you're feeling." These simple phrases have saved countless relationships because they shift the sconce, to shift the conversation from blame toward healing. Pride builds walls. Humility builds bridges. There is something deeply comforting about knowing you can have difficult conversations without fearing rejection. You can express disappointment without being attacked. You can admit mistakes without being shamed. You can share dreams without being mocked. That emotional freedom doesn't happen by accident. It grows from a relationship where respect, trust, and communication are practiced consistently over time. It's important to remember that trust can take years to build but only moments to damage. That's why integrity matters so much. Integrity means your words and your actions match. It means people don't have to wonder whether you're being truthful because your character has become predictable. Consistency creates confidence, and confidence creates security. The strongest couples are not those who never argue. They are the ones who have learned how to disagree without destroying each other. They understand that love is not about avoiding every problem. It's about solving problems together while protecting each other's dignity. They don't allow temporary frustration to justify permanent damage. So if you're wondering whether someone truly loves you, don't focus only on the compliments they give or the affection they show. Look deeper. Do they respect you even when they disagree with you? Can you trust their words because their actions consistently support them? Can you communicate openly without fear of ridicule or rejection? Do they listen with genuine interest instead of waiting for their turn to speak? Because real love isn't measured by grand romantic gestures alone. It is measured by the daily commitment to honor one another with respect, strengthen one another through trust, and grow together through honest communication. Those are the habits that transform attraction into partnership and turn temporary emotions into a love that can endure for a lifetime. In the end, the greatest proof of love is not found in beautiful speeches, expensive gifts, or unforgettable romantic moments. Those things can be wonderful, but they are not the foundation of a lasting relationship. The true measure of love is found in the ordinary moments that most people never notice. It is revealed in the daily choices someone makes when no one is watching, when there is no audience to impress, and when there is nothing to gain except the joy of caring for another person. Genuine love is not something that is occasionally declared. It is something that is consistently demonstrated through action. Anyone can say, "I love you." Those 3 words are easy to pronounce. They take only a few seconds to speak, but living those words requires patience, discipline, sacrifice, and integrity. There is a world of difference between speaking love and practicing love. The person who truly loves you understands that words create hope, but actions create belief. They know that trust grows when promises become reality, not when promises simply sound convincing. Think about the people you trust most in your life. Chances are you don't trust them because of what they have told you. You trust them because of what they have repeatedly shown you. They kept showing up. They kept being honest. They kept supporting you. Their reliability became more convincing than any speech they could ever give. Love works exactly the same way. Consistent actions speak in a language that every heart understands. Imagine someone who constantly tells you that you are important, but they never make time for you. They promise to call but rarely do. They make commitments but often break them. They apologize repeatedly without changing their behavior. Eventually, their words lose their power because their actions tell a completely different story. This is why actions matter so much. They reveal priorities. People always make time for what they truly value. They always invest energy into what genuinely matters to them. A loving relationship is not built on occasional grand gestures. It is built on thousands of small decisions made every single day. Choosing kindness when you're tired. Choosing patience when you're frustrated. Choosing forgiveness when holding a grudge feels easier. Choosing honesty when hiding the truth seems more convenient. These quiet decisions rarely receive applause, yet they become the invisible threads holding 2 hearts together. Many people spend their lives searching for dramatic proof of love while overlooking the quiet evidence that has been there all along. Love is making sure you arrived home safely. Love is remembering the little details that matter to you. Love is asking how your day went and genuinely listening to the answer. Love is standing beside you after you've made a mistake instead of reminding you why you failed. Love is encouraging you when you've forgotten how strong you are. These moments may seem ordinary, but together they create an extraordinary relationship. Kindness is one of the most underrated expressions of love. It costs nothing, yet its value is immeasurable. Someone who truly loves you doesn't reserve kindness only for special occasions. They make it part of everyday life. They speak respectfully. They show appreciation. They notice your efforts instead of taking them for granted. Gratitude becomes a habit instead of an occasional event. Over time, these simple acts create an atmosphere where both people feel valued and emotionally secure. Love is also revealed through presence. In today's fast-paced world, attention has become one of the rarest gifts anyone can give. Many people are physically present while mentally somewhere else. They are distracted by phones, work, worries, or endless responsibilities. But someone who truly loves you understands that being fully present is one of the greatest manifestations of respect. They put distractions aside because they recognize that your heart deserves more than divided attention. Another powerful action that demonstrates genuine love is keeping your word. Integrity is not built during easy moments. It is built when honoring your commitment becomes inconvenient. Anyone can keep a promise when circumstances are favorable. Character is revealed when fulfilling that promise requires sacrifice. Every kept promise strengthens confidence. Every broken promise weakens it. That's why trustworthy people become so valuable. Their consistency removes uncertainty. You no longer have to question whether they're due what they said because their history has already answered that question. Real love also accepts responsibility. Instead of constantly blaming others, someone who genuinely loves you has the humility to admit when they've made a mistake. They don't allow pride to become more important than the relationship. They understand that saying, "I was wrong," is not a sign of weakness. It is evidence of emotional maturity. Taking responsibility creates healing because it shows that preserving trust matters more than protecting the ego. Forgiveness is another action that separates genuine love from temporary affection. Every relationship involves imperfect people, and imperfect people inevitably make mistakes. The question is not whether failure will happen. The question is how both people respond when it does. Genuine love chooses forgiveness without pretending that pain never existed. It seeks restoration instead of revenge. It focuses on learning rather than keeping score. Forgiveness doesn't erase accountability, but it opens the door for growth and healing. There will be seasons when life becomes demanding. Careers require attention. Financial pressures increase. Family responsibilities grow. During these moments, love is often revealed through sacrifice. Someone who truly loves you willingly gives their time, energy, and support because they understand that relationships require investment. They don't calculate every favor or keep a record of every sacrifice. They give because your well-being matters to them. One of the greatest dangers in any relationship is taking each other for granted. Familiarity can sometimes cause people to stop noticing the very qualities they once admired, but someone who genuinely loves you continues to express appreciation. They never assume you already know your value. They continue encouraging you, thanking you, and reminding you that your presence makes their life better. Appreciation keeps love alive because people naturally flourish where they feel valued. Perhaps the greatest action of all is choosing someone every single day. Not because every day feels easy, not because every moment is exciting, but because commitment has become stronger than temporary emotion. Real love wakes up each morning and quietly says, "I choose to honor you today. I choose to respect you today. I choose to support you today." That daily decision creates a relationship capable of surviving life's inevitable challenges. When you look back over your life, you probably won't remember every compliment someone gave you. You may not remember every gift they bought or every romantic phrase they spoke, but you will remember how they treated you consistently. You'll remember who stayed during difficult seasons. You'll remember who encouraged you when you doubted yourself. You'll remember who protected your heart instead of playing with it. Those actions leave footprints that time cannot erase. So if you're trying to recognize genuine love, don't become distracted by impressive words alone. Listen carefully, but watch even more carefully. Observe how someone behaves when life is ordinary, when nobody is applauding, and when love requires patience instead of excitement. Because words can inspire for a moment, but actions build trust for a lifetime. In the end, genuine love is never proven by what someone promises. It is proven by what they consistently do. Day after day, choice after choice, they show you through their actions that you matter, you are respected, and that their commitment is not built on convenience, but on a deep and unwavering decision to love with integrity, faithfulness, and purpose. These 6 points provide a strong framework for a high-energy, relationship-focused, motivational speech inspired by the themes often discussed by speakers like Tony Robbins, while remaining completely